What's up, spell slingers and Highlander enthusiasts? Havoc here, and today we're going to attempt to take a closer look at this new Brawl format. Now, in my experience in EDH, I've learned that you typically stay away from mono-colored commanders. The three big parts of any EDH deck are mana ramp, removal, and card draw. No one color does all of these things optimally, hence the reason why most commander players gravitate towards 2 and 3 color decks. This is one of the reasons why I believe the 4-color commanders that came out in 2016 were so popular. They were all really versatile because you had access to all but one color. There are so many benefits from being in multiple colors, and believe me, I get that, but there are also some benefits to piloting a monocolored deck. An easy mana base to put together, they're usually cheaper to acquire, and for the most part, the strategies for monocolored decks are very straightforward. If you're a red player, then you're probably going burn. If you're in green, you're going for a ramp or stompy theme. Blue, you'll be a jerk and counter spells. You get the picture. So whether you're a new player and a straightforward strategy appeals to you, or you're looking to brew around a specific color, I hope this helps. So when it comes to Brawl and all the standard legal legends, you might be thinking, there might be 10 out there, so this list is probably pretty easy. Well, guess again. There are currently 38 potential Brawl monocolored commanders. And that isn't even counting the ones coming out in Dominaria, which has 38 legends of its own coming to Standard and Brawl. But don't get me distracted on that right now. Dominaria will have its time on this channel. Let's look at what we currently have that you could sleeve up right now and jump into this format. Now, before we get to the top 10, we have to talk about some of the honorable mentions. The first honorable mention is Maverick Fane. You know, with Edgar terrorizing EDH right now, I so wanted to try and make a mono white vampires theme work here, but there just isn't enough support in one color. You really need to add in black in order to make the vampire tribal theme work in Brawl. Our next honorable mention is Rishkar. Rishkar was a close one because of his ability to ramp and that you could continue to cast him from the command zone, distributing more counters and producing more mana. But again, there's just not enough support for him right now. Our last honorable mention is Nyssa Vital Force. You know, making lands into 5/5s is sweet because it makes threats and it protects her at the same time, and her ability to regrowth something is sweet, but I don't know. I just don't see her stacking up to or winning many games when matched up against the commanders that actually made the list. But I don't know, do what you want. If you're looking for a green planeswalker for a commander, then by all means give Nyssa a shot. So you might be asking yourself, how did I come up with this list? You know, what criteria did I use? Well, to put it simply, I used the Havoc evaluation. Is the deck fun to pilot? Will it kill things and or annoy people? And is there support in our card pool for what the commander wants to do? Now, with that being said, let's start with number 10. At number 10, we have Gault, Lord of Luxury. The Gault decks that I've seen have all been around the gain advantage when stuff dies plan. Run some sacrifice outlets like Yahini and Defiance Salvager and some fabricate creatures as sack targets, then pair those up with Pitiless Plunderer for some ramp and a bunch of target removal plus Revel and Riches, and you are in business. This deck is great at killing things, gaining life, and taking advantage of both when it happens. Our number 9 is Atali Primal Storm. Now, this is kind of my pet card from Rivals because I just love these type of chaotic effects. You don't know what you're going to get, and that makes it fun, at least for me. Support Atali with some threats, some Red Dinosaurs Matter cards, and some haste enablers, and this commander could seriously be out of control. Seriously, I mean, you think of casting Atali from the command zone, giving him haste, and then swinging out. Depending on what cards from your opponents you hit, that could be a huge swing in momentum. Now, I have an Atali deck that I can't wait to share with you, but that'll be another video for another time. But Atali comes in at number 9. Number 8 is Gault, Primal Hunger. Oh, who doesn't love this big green 12/12 trampling dinosaur that could potentially come out as early as turn 5? Oh, you don't love him? Maybe it's just me. I mean, look at this big dumb dinosaur that takes advantage of what green does best, and that is ramp. Get your ramp game going strong here and bring out Gault and whatever big dumb green creatures you can find and just wreck face. The only problem is that he dies to removal. 12/12 does not save you from the black kill spells or the myriad of white exile effects. He is vulnerable to removal, but if you love green and you love ramp, then I would give Gault a serious look. Number 7 is Yahenni, Undying Partisan. Yahenni's strat is pretty easy. Just read the card. He gets pumped when opponent's creatures die, and he can protect himself by sacking your own creatures. So what do you need to make this work? Removal spells and cheap, valuable creatures. I'm talking about all of the removal, and as many black creatures and tokens you can find. This might be the closest to a Voltron commander as we can get in Brawl. Yahenni looks scary, mainly because of that protection. You like playing black and blowing up your opponent's board? Then give Yahenni some serious consideration. Number 6 is Saram, Senior Edificer. Saram? How is Saram at number 6? You might be shocked to even see him on this list, but hear me out before you regulate Saram to the Nahiri and Kimba EDH decks. So let me ask you something. Are there a lot of powerful artifacts in Standard right now? Yes. Is white enchantment removal always going to be a thing in any format? Yes. Then why not turn both of those into card draw while you're at it? Lock down the board with your white removal and then swing over the top with vehicles like Heart of Kiran, or clean up what you don't lock down with Sky Sovereign Console Flagship. And what are the creatures we're going to use to pilot these vehicles? You guessed it, artifact creatures. Artifact creatures that make our artifacts cheaper and stronger, like Foundry Inspector and Chief of the Foundry. So our artifacts are getting easier to cast, and we're drawing cards off of the artifacts. So we can cast more artifacts to draw more cards. You see my point. Saram is awesome, so don't be surprised when you get your butt whooped by this salty, artifact-loving dwarf. Now, what did I say about monocolored decks at the beginning? Their strategies and themes are straightforward and easy to understand. Say hello to the zombie queen, Liliana Death's Majesty. She is all about the zombies. I mean, look at her 3 abilities. First, she makes zombies. Then she reanimates creatures as zombies. And then if that's not enough, her ult is a board wipe that dodges zombies. And thanks to Amonkhet block, we just happen to have a ton of zombie synergy running around Standard right now. Now, if you get matched up against a Scarab God, you might be in for a rough game. But if you're the only zombie tribal deck at the table, then your opponents are going to get real sick of seeing these creatures over and over and over again. But hey, that's what Liliana does, and she can surely help you shamble your way to your next victory. Number 4 is Neheb. Neheb. Oh, the commander that quickly ruins friendships and ends game nights in one quick succession of burn spells, fueling more burn spells, fueling more burn spells. I made a Neheb EDH deck because his ability just seems so unique that I had to give it a shot. I didn't even know what was happening, and then I cast a fireball for 40 damage to the face. Yeah. I've since dismantled that deck because I like my friends too much to subject them to that ever again. But in Brawl, I think this commander might be fair. The pool of burn cards in Standard isn't as extensive as EDH, so it limits him from getting too out of control. However, there is just enough that you can still go off and burn an opponent down out of nowhere in a single turn. Just put Neheb as your commander, find all the burn spells and sleeve them up and see what happens. But don't come running back to me when you realize that you don't have any more friends to play Brawl with. Now we're down to the top 3. So whenever you have gods in a format, yeah, sure, you're going to want to gravitate to them because they're just crazy powerful. And Ronis the Indomitable is no exception. A 5/5 Death Touch and Indestructible for 3 mana? Yes, please. But he can't attack or block without another creature with power 4 or greater on the board. Yeah, how easy is that going to be in green? I mean, just get your ramp down, start casting big dumb creatures, and then just swing in. You could even keep Ronis back to defend, so whatever your opponents attack you with will die. Having a problem getting damage through? Just pump up your team with Ronis' ability that isn't a tap ability to swing in with Trample. Oh, and did I mention he is indestructible? That means he dodges pretty much all removal save white exile effects. You slap Ronis down as your commander and your friends will helplessly watch as you ramp and smash face and then ramp some more for good measure. Ronis is just ridiculous. Yeah, so everything I just said about having a god as your commander for Ronis, just copy and paste that here for Hazoret the Fervent. Now, unlike Neheb, the other red commander, Hazoret really represents the middle ground for mono-red commanders in Brawl. Put in some burn, put in some red value creatures, and toss in some crazy artifacts, and you have a deck that can do almost anything you want to be doing in a game of Brawl. And if you run out of gas, just cast your commander. That's a 5/4 indestructible with haste that can burn your opponent's face off. I mean, do I really need to say much more here? Even against 2 or 3 color decks in Brawl right now, Hazoret is going to be able to hold her own. You just watch. Now, I don't know if when Wizards came up with this format and they said you could have Planeswalkers as your commander, that they remembered that they just printed the best Shondra to ever be printed. Shondra Torch of Defiance is just so good. Maybe too good. I mean, in a typical game of Magic, if you get lucky, your opponent casts Shondra, he gets some value, you then kill Shondra, nightmare over. The fact that you could potentially cast and recast her 3, 4, 5 times in a game is just ridiculous. And if you haven't noticed, 3 of the top 5 mono-colored commanders are all red. That's because red is in a good place right now. Such good removal and some interesting supporting cards to help with red's Achilles heel, that is ramp and card draw. Oh, and did I mention that she helps you ramp? Run her out turn 4, and on turn 5 you potentially have 7 mana to work with, and that's if you couldn't find some form of mana rocks along the way. 7 mana is Chaos Maw mana, or Etali mana, or Burning Sun's Avatar mana. And if you don't want to use it for that, then use it for more burn. She's just that good. And I don't even want to know what this deck looks like once Dominaria releases and Jala Ballard gets added in. If you're piloting Shondra, please have mercy on your friends from time to time. But if you sit down and you see Shondra in your opponent's command zone, you had better brought your A game, because you're about to be roasted by the fire of Kaladesh. This is my top 10 mono-colored commanders currently legal for Brawl. What did you think? Did I overlook any that are on your list? Or is your number one different? Please let me know in the comments section down below. If you like this video, please help me out by giving me a thumbs up and subscribe so you can receive more Highlander news, content, and deck techs in the future. Once again, my name is Havoc, and we will see you next time.